Led Zeppelin, 1968, Jimmy Page has been doing Yardbirds, and we played gigs with him with the Yardbirds for Vanilla Fudge. Now they're called Led Zeppelin. No album out yet. We had a sold-out show at Vanilla Fudge and Spirits, like 8,000 people. Our agent was their agent, Led Zeppelin's agent. We wanted to put them on the show. Man, nobody knew them. Nobody knew the songs. Because we don't need them on the show. We're sold out.
Welcome to the X5 Podcast, everybody. I'm your host, David Lionel, today. I'm co-hosted by my buddy Jeff Allen over here. Hello. And you're here in the Clitter Clatter. Terry's in studio with us today, along with Daryl. And our special guest today, man, this guy's been in more bands than I got fingers, dude. From Cactus to Blue Murder to Rod Stewart, you name it all. Please welcome Carmine Appice, everybody.
Yay! Thank you. I never heard that one before. I got fingers.
I just found out the way you really pronounce your name is Appice, right?
Yeah, Appice. Well, Appice.
Appice.
The Italian is Appice.
Appice, yeah. Appice. But you changed it because everybody kept mispronouncing it.
Yeah. I changed it when I was with Rod Stewart, and then when my brother joined Black Sabbath, he fucked it all up.
So he went back he tried to switch it back. You're like, man,
it's
come
still,
on.
Appice?
It's still
Appice, yeah.
So, you know, we did a video called Drum Wars, me and Vinny, and we battled for the name, basically. So by the end of the video, I said, they're both wrong. You know, my brother Frank says, it's a peach.
A peach.
So,
I saw a video on YouTube. You're in it, but it's like this comedy gag where like this guy who's dressed up like you, he's talking to his friends. What was that video from?
It's just weird things we do over the years. You know, that was a funny one. There's another one called Cooking with Carmine. You know, that's a proper video. They did a good job, you know, with the production.
Yeah.
And I cooked some pasta. I used the sticks to, stir it. I served it on a drum head, that kind of stuff.
Well, who knew you had a whole career in comedy? You could have done that.
You get that way when you do clinics, you got to make people laugh.
Right, yeah.
You definitely look like a guy that's got a marinara recipe that would just knock people's dick in the dirt. You know?
I can't cook the gravy.
Really?
No, I buy it in a
He looks like one of these guys like, before he dies, we got to get this recipe out of him.
Your face would look good on a label, like on the jar in the grocery store, you know?
It would look good on a label.
A piece of sauce.
You've got to have some sort of family recipe.
I do. It's on my computer. My wife never uses it.
She doesn't cook either?
She cooks. She does her own thing,
Oh, yeah.
Well, she's Jewish, so she's not Italian, but she does a great job.
You're 100% Italian?
100.
No kidding. Wow.
100.
Were you born in Italy?
I was not.
Okay.
My grandparents were born in Italy. They came over here legally.
All right.
And they
like they're on a witch hunt.
They came over legally, and my parents were born here, but they told my grandparents said, don't teach us Italian. They want us to be true Americans.
Right.
So now we're true Americans. When we go over to Italy, everybody talks us in Italian, and we don't know what they're saying. I know no capisce Italiano means I don't understand Italian. So
how were your parents raising you when you were young? Were they pretty hard on you?
No, they were pretty cool, actually. It's funny because I used to practice all the time and used to drive my mother crazy. And,
dude.
And I left the drum set home when I made it with Vanilla Fudge. And when I went home, my brother Vinny was like 8 years old, and he pulled me by my shirt and said, come on, watch this. He'd take me out to the porch where I left the drums, and he started playing. And I said, wow. So I said to my mother, who taught him that? He goes, he learned on himself. He's driving me crazy like you did.
It's the worst instrument for a
parent. So we did an album together called APPICE, however you wanted to say it.
Yeah, right.
Sinister. And there was a song called Brothers in Drums, and I wrote the lyric and the melody. And in it, I put that. I put that, it started off with me and then goes to Vinny. And then my mother said, you're driving me crazy. And he drove me crazy like you did. And I put that in the song.
That's great.
A couple of times. It was pretty cool.
What all instruments you play?
I play a little bit of keyboard and a little bit of bass, a little bit guitar.
Not to write songs.
I did write songs, enough to write songs. And it's funny because I'm doing this project now. It's called Tonight's the Night. It's a Rod Stewart show. And we talked to Rod about it. We're not calling it a tribute. We're calling it a show that creates the music and legend of Rod Stewart. And I said to Rod, I don't want to call it tribute because the tribute today is like useless. It's real cheap. Yeah. So he said, great. So he says, I'm flattered. I'm really honored. I said, great. So in there, we're doing Tonight's the Night, and I'm recording, we're doing an orchestra gig. So we're working on the orchestra charts. So my studio, my guy would send me the orchestra on 2 tracks, and then I would build a track with that, from there. So I had nobody play bass. I pulled out my garage band on my iPad, and I played bass with my fingers.
Did you?
Yeah, and I played keyboard. And man, it's really little to play on those iPads. It's so small, the keys.
Those Rod songs are hard to play, man. I've got a friend in a Rod tribute band, and it took months and months to get all that
I'm
stuff
sure they ain't like us. We're the best. I played with Rod. I know exactly how things go. And we had the sax player, Cactus, that played with Rod for 14 years.
Wow.
And I know all the arrangements, the way they should be, the right tempos, the way they should be played. And I tell stories in between the songs.
You hear that, Kelly and Jeff?
Yeah. Rod the tribute. You're out there watching. We know that you are.
Yeah. This guy that I have, he's been doing it for years. And he looks like Rod. He sounds just like Rod. He moves around like Rod. And it's a great show. It's really, and we do well. We do like theaters of 900 people, 1,000 people, and sell out, And casinos. We don't play clubs. We don't play casinos yet.
Really?
We play mostly theaters where people pay to see it. And this orchestra gig we're doing in, Palm Springs, Palm Desert. It's in a proper theater, like 1,400 seat theater. And the tickets are not cheap because you got to pay for the orchestra. It's a 50-piece orchestra.
Well, people are later in life now got money to come see this.
Yeah, they do. And they pay decent money to come see our show normally, And
right.
And this thing, we talk about in the business, this thing has legs. We can play anywhere.
Hot legs.
Thing, like hot legs.
You see what I did there?
And, and the way this started was I had a show 14 years ago where I had guys that played with Rod. I had Phil Chen from the Rod Band. I had Danny Johnson that played with Rod for 2 years. I had Jimmy Crespo to play with Rod, also played with Aerosmith. And I had me, and we did the show. We went to China. We did a lot of gigs all over the place. And then I couldn't find an agent to book it because we called it the Rod Experience, It didn't say a tribute to Rod or anything. It just says the Rod Experience. And then years later, I went to see Rod, and I noticed all the songs that I was involved in, people loved it. And I never got to play these songs anymore.
Yeah.
Like Hot Legs and Sexy and Young Turks and Passion. Well, I love playing these songs, and I never play them. And everybody knows these songs, and I never got to play them. So I said, I'm going to put another band together. So I put another one together, except this time not guys from all over the country that cost $5,000 to do a rehearsal.
Right.
So I got guys from local areas in Florida, and I had the same guy singing now. It's 14 years later, and he's not that good anymore. So we did 3 gigs and realized at the end of it, it's not good. I'm not going to do this. And I've been hearing about from the chick Catra who played with Rod. I met her in LA, and she gave me his number because he wanted me to try and hook him up with some people in Europe to try and get him some gigs. So I was talking to him. So then I said, hey, you playing around here somewhere? He goes, yeah. I said, I'm going to come up and see you. So I went up and seen him. I said, this guy's good. He looks just like Rod. He sounds like Rod. And he moves around like Rod. He's really good. So he said, why don't you come up and play some songs? I said, okay. So the place had 900 people there. So I walked out, and he brought me out. And people, went a bit crazy. They were Rod fans. And then I played all my songs. I played, Turks. I played Hot Legs. I played People Get Ready, which I'm on with Jeff Beck and Rod. I played all the songs. And then at the end of it, I was blown away. And he says, why don't we be partners? I said, you got it. So I've been developing the show now, making it more of a show where before it was, I said to the band, are you guys the backup band or are you the band? He said, we're the band. I said, why are you all wearing black and you're in the back? I said, we never did that with Rod. This was, when I played with Rod, it was a band. So I got the guitar player who had like kind of a bald thing on his head. And I said, you should wear a hat.
First
You
and
should wear
foremost.
like a mafia hat and wear some colors. And the next gig we did, the agent came and said, "Who's the new guitar player?" And we said, "It's the same guy."
Yeah.
You know, so I had everybody dressing in colors and, making, now it's a really good show. I did a background video and we shoot off confetti and, just have a good time, make it a party.
Soccer balls.
Yeah. Soccer balls.
Yeah, you got that?
Yeah, we do the soccer balls.
Do y'all dress up in suits and stuff?
He dresses up just like Rod.
Right.
Katya dresses up. She's sexy. She's, beautiful. And she dresses up in, like short skirts and boots. And she always looked great. She dresses up like she used to dress up with Rod, real colorful. Leopard outfits and this and that. She looks great. And I got the keyboard player wearing, colorful jackets, psychedelic jackets and shirts. And we turned him sideways so you could actually see him. Yeah. And then we blow up balloons. There's balloons all over the stage. We kick out to the audience and, it's just make it a good time. There's one bit we do, which is great. When I was at Rod, we did Vanilla Fudge, You Keep Me Hanging On, which incidentally is on the latest version, the last episode of Tulsa King.
Yeah.
Right. Last night it came out. It came out last night. So the Fudge is in that. So we did, when I was with Rod said, "Man, I love the way Vanilla Fudge did it. I would have loved to have done Hanging On." I said, "Let's do it. I'm in the band." So I got Mark Stein, singer with Fudge, to do backgrounds on it. And we did it. And he did it with an orchestra, which was really, really awesome. It was a different arrangement.
Is this the one on Footloose Fancy Free?
Yes.
Yeah, that is an
Isn't it great?
Incredible interpretation
so we
of that
do
song.
that live.
Yeah.
So we do the end where he goes, "There ain't nothing I can do about it." Our singer gets down on the floor, like on his knees, and the whole band, we freeze.
Yeah.
Right? I said, just freeze until the audience reacts, and they react. And then Katya, the sax player, is beautiful. She comes on with a cape that I had from 1968, Vanilla Fudge, and has purple satin inside. She comes out and puts it on, like James Brown.
Yeah,
And
right.
audience goes nuts. And then he stands up, throws the cape off, and says, "There ain't nothing I can do about it." And then we move on to the next part of the song. Fantastic. Audience loved it.
How did you go about getting an agent? Because an act like that's so great, but it's dead in the water without a great agent.
Well, now there's an agent called Blue Raven. That's all they do.
Mm-hmm.
They do these, per se, tribute acts. They got Eagles. They got this one. They got Led Zeppelin. They got all that. But none of them, this one, can't remember his name either right now.
Look at that name up
It's
there.
a funny name.
Artemis
Pyle.
Pyle.
It's a funny name. Artemis Pyle.
Artemis Pyle.
So he
Took me a
books
minute.
him, and they do Leonard Skinner.
Yeah.
So it's like me. I do me and I do Rod Stewart. And we do mostly the songs. I call the songs at the beginning the gay Rod. Which is
The
like,
gay Rod era.
yeah, it's like some guys have all the luck and, those kind of songs. And it's funny
I
because
actually
when I
really
first
love
played,
that song.
we used to have the singer's drummer used to play, and he passed away. He played the first part of the song, and I was like his idol, and he said, "You play the first part, and I'll play the second part." He was okay with it. So when he passed away, we had another guy come in to play, and it got really expensive. So I said, "I'll just play the front." So the first time I played it, Katya, the sax player, said, "You better do your homework on those songs." And I said, "Listen, when I joined Rod, I never recorded Tonight's the Night or Maggie May, but Rod let me play me." When I joined the band, he said, "You play like you did in Cactus. You'll do your solo. You got fans. We're cool." I said, "Great." I said, "So I'm not going to play the songs like it's on the record. I'm going to drive the band." You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, for
I'm going to drive the band. So the next time I played it, I've been doing all this recording with all those songs for the orchestra, so now I know them. But still, I played the parts, but I was driving the band,
Mm-hmm.
And the last gig we played, I had no complaints.
How many people are in that band?
There's guitar, bass, drums, keyboard, sax, and singer. Now, what we used
You
to
don't
do,
have background singers, none of that?
no, we sing the background.
Okay.
Right? And that's the same thing with Rod. We never had background singers. We used to sing background. I wrote all those backgrounds, and "You're in My Heart," and "If I Was Only Joking," and a lot of the backgrounds that he had, I wrote and I sang on them because I have a background of singing doo-wop in Brooklyn.
Nice.
And Vanilla Fudge, big vocal band. In 1968, when Billboard Awards were just on the Billboard magazine, Beatles were number one, Vanilla Fudge was number two,
Yeah.
just for
Wow,
vocals,
so great.
So, I'm used to all that stuff, but
Carmine, if you don't Mine, share that story about the Led Zeppelin story you told me,
Oh, Led Zeppelin, yeah.
It's such a great, it's crazy.
I mean, I got so many stories because I've been in this forever and I'm still alive.
Yeah.
All the guys so many of the guys I played with back in the day, they're dead.
Yeah.
So Led Zeppelin, 1968 was really the new Yardbirds. That Jimmy Page has been doing Yardbirds, and we played gigs with him at the Yardbirds with Vanilla Fudge. So now they're called Led Zeppelin. No album out yet, and so it's in Denver. Barry Fay was the promoter. We had a sold-out show at Vanilla Fudge and Spirits, like 8,000 people. And our agent was their agent, Led Zeppelin's agent, and they talked to Barry, look, we got a new Jimmy Page band, Led Zeppelin, we want to put them on the show. He goes, we don't need them on the show. We're sold out. Why do we need them? Come on, it's only $1,500 for Led Zeppelin, right? He goes, come on, man. He didn't want to do it. So he says, fine. He goes, look, I tell you what, you pay $750 and Vanilla Fudge will pay $750 to get him on the show. He said, okay. So they went on the show and they kind of got booed off the stage.
No shit.
Yeah. Because they're brand new. Nobody knew them. Nobody knew the songs.
Yeah.
But we thought they were awesome. We heard their first album before anybody to get them on the show. We said, wow, these guys are great. And I loved John Bonham. I loved the foot.
Yeah.
And I said, dude, when I met him, I said, that foot is great. Amazing. He goes, I got it from you. I said, excuse me, I do not do that. He said, you did it. I said, where did I do it? And he pointed out somewhere on Vanilla Fudge albums where I went, instead of going diddle, I went like, I was like this, like this.
Oh, doubles.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you're talking.
Okay.
And that's a Bonham like trademark.
Yeah. And he went like that. It's a triplet between the eighth notes.
Yeah.
And as I know music.
Yeah. I'll pretend I do too. Go ahead.
Okay. But anyway, so he showed me that and I said, wow. I said, well, we all steal from each other. That's what Joe Morello, who's a great jazz drummer, he said, nobody has it all. We all take from each other, not steal. So I told him that and he said, great. And then I had these big blonde Ludwig drums. I had 26 bass drums, a big tom in the middle. That was the very first oversized drums in the business, period, in the rock business anyway. And he said, dude, I would love to have that drum set. So I knew they were going to be big, but I don't know how big they were going to be. So I called up Ludwig because I was like one of their main guys. I was like the guy that pioneered all these different things with them, And I called him up. I said, look, there's a new band called Led Zeppelin. It's Jimmy Page's band. And this guy, John Bonham's a really good drummer. I heard the first album's really great. So he wants a Ludwig drum endorsement and he wants the drums like me. Same thing.
Yeah.
I said, I think they're going to be big. That's the understatement of 6 decades. And,
wasn't wrong.
And so he got them, he gave them the deal and he had the same drum set that I had.
Wow.
So now we toured together 6 months later and now they were big.
Yeah.
Their album went gold already.
Yeah.
And the first album, and then we're big. We're touring together and he had the same drum set I did. I didn't tell you this, Terry. So we do co-headlining. So one day we would open, next day they would open.
Yeah.
But I often had Randy Castillo, you remember him? He was with Ozzy.
Yeah.
So he was a friend of mine and he was at one of the gigs in Albuquerque. And I said, well, you're at that gig? I said, what'd you think of the fact that whoever played first, the drums came off and then his drums, the other drum set came on. Looked exactly the same. He said, I was wondering what that was. I said, well, because he got the same drum set as mine.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there, they take a full drum set off, and then they bring another drum set out, the same drum set, and they set it up. They go, they just took that off.
Why didn't you just leave it?
Same color and everything.
Everything. The blonde maple drum kit. I got it on my phone, top picture of me and a bottom picture of John, And so at the end of that tour, Jimmy Page and Robert Plant went to Bonzo and said, it's too busy with the two bass drums. Get rid of that one bass drum. So they did, and the Led Zeppelin drum set was born.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Single.
Yeah.
Total,
That's
It's funny.
amazing.
and that's probably why when you finally left the band with Rod, that he made that comment to you. He assumed since y'all were managed by the same people or had the same agent or whatever, that you were going to join that band.
Yeah, we were in Europe together, and I'd just done a clinic tour of Europe. Then I joined on Rod. I was in Europe for like 4 months, and we were touring together. And John Bonham died,
Mm-hmm.
and Rod Stewart said to me, there were rumors that me or Cozy Powell were going to join Led Zeppelin, and so people asked me, "You join Led Zeppelin?" I said, "If they ask me to."
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So Rod said to me, Rod Stewart, that is, he said, "Are you joining Led Zeppelin? We were on tour. We're playing, big, giant venues." I said, "Not that I know of." He said, "Well, I heard that you're joining Led Zeppelin." I said, "Well, I haven't been asked to join any. It's just rumors as far as I know." He goes, "Oh, good. Let's keep the rumor going because there's another rumor that says I'm retiring. So let's keep the rumors going so we can sell out
Sell
more."
tickets.
Yeah.
I said, "Okay." So we did. But I
Did you
never
ask-
joined Led Zeppelin. He never retired.
Yeah.
You asked him, he must have known something you didn't. Rod?
Him?
No, Rod
it
Stewart.
was in the press.
Yeah.
It was in the UK and the English press mostly,
Man, that'd have been a trip, dude. Could you imagine that would have really come, to
That
fruition?
would have been great because, John Bonham played like me.
Yeah.
I was the first one to beat the hell out of drums. I mean, you look at me on the Ed Sullivan Show, there was no Led Zeppelin at that point, and I was a freaking animal,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched that clip last night. It just
It's
so happened to come-
ridiculous.
Yeah,
I
you
mean-
were beating the hell out of him.
I was trying to be Dino Danelli from the Rascals
Yeah.
on steroids,
Yeah.
because he had all the twirls and, all this stuff, and I started doing that stuff, and it was really, and the rock thing was Dino started it, and I picked it up, and then nobody else did it
Yeah.
back in the day,
How old were you when you did that Ed Sullivan Show?
20 years old.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
20
You
years
know? I
old.
was 20 years old. Funny thing about that one is, you rehearse all week. People go, "Did you ever meet Ed?" Yeah, you meet him for a second,
Yeah.
And then got dressed up and coming down the elevator. In those days, it wasn't a push button. There was a black dude, and he was the elevator operator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I come down and I said, "Hey, man, how many people watch this show?" He goes, "Oh, about 50 million." And I went,
Where's your bathroom?
exactly.
Yeah.
But once I got on the drums, I forgot about it. It was live.
Yeah. Oh,
It
yeah.
was live. And you look at all these other, sometimes on me, I just got a check for $21 for that show, actually.
Really?
On Me, from Me TV, they play that,
Yeah.
So you see on one of these shows, it was The Doors, another show, a band like that, Dave Clark 5 or something, Temptations and Vanilla Fudge.
Yeah.
And those two other acts come on, and Temptations were after us. And we came on. The other ones, even The Doors, they all stood there. Even, Jim Morrison was just a poser. He just sang and just stood there. But when Vanilla Fudge came on, it was like gangbusters, man. we like moved around and, it was great.
Your story about the Sex Police is so funny.
Oh, the Sex Police are funny. I tell that story now on the Rod thing. Excuse me, I have to have a drink.
Have you heard about the Sex Police?
I have not.
It's vodka.
Still going hard, man. Don't let it fool you.
Yeah, but so when we play with the Rod thing I'm doing now, we have these T-shirts that we sell, Sex Police T-shirts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So nobody knows what it is. If you look at the Passion video, we're all wearing Sex Police T-shirts.
Yeah, I saw that.
Right. So
Yeah, what is the story?
So I tell the story. I said, "Look, I tell you a story about what the next song. If you look at the video, you see us wearing these Sex Police T-shirts." I tell the audience. So really, the story behind that is this: if you had a woman and you disappeared, somebody go, "Hey, Carmine left with this chick." So they all put the Sex Police shirts on, and you go up the hallway going, "Sex Police, we're the Sex Police."
In a hotel, can you imagine?
And we're talking about 12 people, 12 guys. So, if they know it was me, they'll knock on my door. And no matter what I was doing, like I was with a chick one time, and I heard him going down the hallway, and I heard him like pass my room. And I said to the chick, "Shh." She goes, "Why?" I said, "Because if they "No, you're in here with me." They'd break the door down, and that would be the end of it. So that was the end of it anyway when I told her that. But they didn't sex police me that day.
Yeah, you got
In my book, I have a picture of me and Rod outside a door. Sometimes they didn't do that, but other things we did is we gaffer taped the door so you couldn't open it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we shut the electricity off with the breaker. And there's a picture, and then we'd write in gaffer tape, "sex police" on the door. So there's a picture of me and Rod with like, right, looking at the door.
I bet you got
Rod got busted with
Yeah,
the
so I
sex
tell
police.
so I tell this to the audience. I said, so when I get to the point where and they break the door down, that's the end of it, and everybody laughs. I said, so if you watch the video of Passion, we're all wearing the Sex Police shirts. So we're going to do that song for you now, and then we do the song. And I said, by the way, we have Sex Police T-shirts at the merch table,
They sell a lot.
and then I got hats too.
There they are. There you are, right there.
Oh, yeah, that's it. There you go.
A thankless
ti-
task.
I bet your Rod was getting busted by the sex police all the time.
No, Rod never got busted. He couldn't go out anywhere.
Yeah.
You see that shirt he's wearing? The other shirt? All right, that's my shirt.
Oh,
Is
the
it?
He
what is
liked
that, like
my
a
shirt.
zebra
He
print?
said,
Yeah.
I really like that shirt. I said, okay, you can have it. So then he found out who manufactured it, and he bought 12 of them. Right? So,
How did you get hooked up with Rod to begin with?
Oh, this is
well, it's an interesting story because we toured with the Faces when Maggie May broke, right? And we did 30 shows with the Faces with Cactus.
Mm.
And in those days, it was no TV all night, so if you didn't have a woman or you're just partying with the guys, you end up being mischief and wreck hotels.
Oh, yeah.
Wreck car. We used to wreck their hotel room and then come down, rent a car, and they'd wreck our rent a car and we'd rent a truck. And this guy, Pete Buckland, was their tour manager, and we were all friends with Rod and everything. At one gig, we did a Puerto Rican festival, and they left Rod there. When they took off, they forgot to take Rod. So my manager bought Rod a ticket and sent him wherever he had to go. But we were friends. I mean, and Ronnie Wood and Rod Stewart used to come to a Vanilla Fudge when they first started playing with Jeff Beck. And they came to a Vanilla Fudge recording studio. It was Electric Ladyland. And they came inside and they, like two little boys sitting in the corner. We had porn movies on there. We had some chick in the next studio having sex with her. It was crazy time. Never thought that he'd end up being what he is today,
Yeah.
So I knew him for a long, long time. So my friend Sandy Gennaro, who ended up playing with Cyndi Lauper and all those people, I knew him. He's a drummer. He came from LA. He lived in LA. I saw him on the street. I said, "Hey, Sandy, how you doing? What are you doing?" He goes, "I just came from a Rod Stewart audition." I said, "Good. Did you get it?" He goes, "No." So he said, "But you should do it. You should try and do it." I go, "Well, who do you call?" So he gave me the number. I said, "Oh, Pete Buckland. I know him. We used to wreck hotels together." So I called him. I said, "Pete, it's Carmine. I heard Rod's looking for a drummer, and you don't call me?"
Yeah.
So he goes, "Well, you're always busy." I said, "I'm not busy now. I'd love to play with Rod." He goes, "All right, well, Rod is in England. Let me call him." So he called me back. He said, "Rod said, go to his house. The band is there and check it out. See if you like it." That was different, right?
Yeah.
So I said, "Wow." So I figured, well, I'm going to Rod's house. Let me take the good car. So I had a Pantera at the time.
Oh, wow.
So I said, I'll take the Pantera up there because I knew Rod was a car guy.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect this, I must say. I pull up in Beverly Hills. I pull up to this house. These gigantic gates, two giant pillars on the side. Ring the bell. "Hey, it's Carmine." The gates open. I drive up. There's a giant guest house. I look in the garage. There's instruments set up. It must have been a 6-car garage. I pull up, and there's a circular drive with a fountain in the middle. A beautiful, amazing Spanish house. And there's a Porsche, Lamborghini Miura, and like 2 or 3 other cars. I don't even know what they were. And I said to myself, wow, I want to play with this band.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I go downstairs and Pete meets me. He says, "Oh, the band's down there. They're playing paddle tennis near the pool." I said, "Oh, okay." So I got in there. Phil Chen I knew because I originally played on Blow by Blow with Jeff Beck, that they took me off because of legal things. And then this other guy, Jim Cregan, I knew because I when I was working with Jeff Beck in the Blow by Blow, we did some shows together in England. So I knew him and I knew the two of them. And there was two other guys and the keyboard player that I didn't know. So we hung out, and then we went out and had a play. And it was good, really good musicians. I said, well, this is good. So I talked to Pete. He goes, what do you think? I said, good band. I like it. So he said, Rod will be back tomorrow. I said, come on back tomorrow. So I'm back tomorrow. We have a play with Rod. And then Rod came up to me and said, I'll tell you what, if you like it, play like you did in Cactus. You'll have a drum solo every night. He says, I'll use the drum solo to freshen up, and blah, blah, blah. And then he said, but we got to straighten your name out if you want to do this. I said, yeah, I want to do it. Let's do it. And we actually had a percentage of the take, which none of the bands now had a percentage of it. And he said, I said, what do you mean you're going to freshen up? He goes, well, I'm going to have a dressing room under the stage. So when you're soloing, I'm going to go change my clothes and draw my hair again, blah, blah, and come out and I'll look fresh. I go, okay. He says, because I know I've seen you every night with the Faces. They had a bar on the freaking stage. We used to get drunk on the stage with them. It was crazy. So I said, okay. So that was it. Yeah. I said, all right, we rehearsed for 6 weeks. I have a picture of Rod on my drums with the big gong behind it. Yeah. Next door, playing with the rehearsing next door is Frank Zappa. Wow. That's when I met Terry Bozzio. Yeah. And he was really a young kid, And yeah, it was great days. It was amazing days back then.
So he brought you in to go on a tour initially?
And record.
Yeah. And then
at the end of it, you recorded.
Yeah, we were the Rod Stewart band.
Yeah.
It was like the Faces, Rod Stewart band. It was just an extension of the Faces.
Yeah.
Except all the Faces didn't like the fact that he got the big Maggie May. I mean, right. They were forced to play Maggie May on those Faces gigs because it was number one.
Yeah, of course.
If they didn't do it, it's stupid.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
So that broke them up pretty much. And then Ronnie went with the Stones.
Yeah.
And Rod had his own career. And then we were the Rod Stewart group. On the curtains, it said RSG. Rod Stewart Group. Yeah. And we had a percentage of the take. We had T-shirts and all. We had a percentage of it. I made more money in a small percentage of Rod than I did in the bigger percentage with Jeff Beck.
Wow.
But we would compare to the Stones. I mean, this was a band that was a band. We wrote the songs with Rod. I remember he said, I want a song like Missing You. So we all went home, and I went home, wrote some songs, some keys, and I talk about playing keyboard. And so I wrote these keyboard parts. I went to my buddy Dwayne Hitchings' house. He put it on his studio, on an 8-track studio, and we made it sound good. And he wrote a bridge and made it sound good. And I presented it to Rod, and he loved it. And
so that was his process? He would just be like, I want a song like this. And then
everybody would come back with their ideas.
Oh, that's cool.
And I won. That ended up being the biggest song you ever had.
Yeah.
And then we wrote Young Turks together with Dwayne again.
Yeah.
Don't you think I'm sexy too?
Do you think I'm sexy?
What did I say?
No, I don't think you're sexy.
I'm trying to sneak that one in. So you get percentages of that. I know there was a big TikTok boom of that a couple of years ago with everybody playing it. And
but everybody's selling this stuff back. When all the
streaming
royalties stopped going to us and started going down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Streaming came in, all I just said. Yeah. Everybody started selling their product, like
the whole catalog.
Queen just got 1.2 billion. I texted Brian. I said, "Wow, congratulations!" Bro. He says, "I'm still pinching myself."
Yeah, man.
Sure. I mean, that's unbelievable. Rod sold his, Bruce Springsteen. So I sold my 2 songs back to Warner Brothers just for the mechanicals, they call it. From selling a record. I kept the ASCAP.
Yeah.
Mm. The ASCAP was big. Now I'm getting ready to sell the ASCAP. What am I going to do with it?
I mean, how does somebody pay that much for a catalog and know that they can turn a profit? Who can crunch those numbers? That's insane.
With Queen, you kind of understand because they had the movie.
Yeah.
They got commercials. They got
ringtones.
Boom, 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 boom.
They play that in
at
NBA
stadiums.
games.
Yeah. Every time they do that, they play that, they get paid. So you could understand kind of how that works, but
if you're wrong on those numbers, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand, like, even me. I sold my sexy back to these guys as mechanicals. It's a lot of money, but I had a small percentage.
Yeah.
of it, because years ago I sold a different version to somebody else,
Oh, wow.
but I was still making money. This song was so big, it's unbelievable, the money. You know, I won't get into the rest of it. Yeah, but you don't want to know.
The sounds of your drums on those tracks is like etched in my brain. Like just something about the tone of it, you know.
Yeah, you know what it's called? It's called Ludwig and Andy Johns and me playing it.
Yeah.
Because as I was telling him, I don't play like this. I play like this. When you hit the drum with this, it's a thicker, fatter sound,
Right.
more aggressive sound.
Yeah.
So I worked along with Andy Johns, and I had these Ludwig drums. And now instead of 26s, I have 24s by 15, you know, which started the whole thing with Ludwig about extending 16s and power toms and all that. Because the 26, the Speed King pedals couldn't hit in the middle. You couldn't get the good shot. So I reduced it to 24, but made the length longer, which almost had the same area inside.
Mm-hmm.
So I had these Ludwig drums made of maple. They were 3-ply drums. They sounded amazing, you know. And me and Andy, you know, whenever you used to record on those ghetto blasters, they sound great, the drums. So we took the mics out of a ghetto blaster and tried to record them with that, but it didn't work, you know. But we experimented with different mics and different positions and everything. And we ended up getting that sound. Like on that album, Footloose and Fancy Free, there's a song called You're Insane.
Yeah.
Freaking amazing drum sound. I played simple, but in a heavy groove. But the drum sound was like, wow, you know?
A good drum sound on an album changes everything.
Changes everything. Like all these Cactus records, and we're playing all this stuff. I just played it. Everyone has a great drum sound.
Yep.
I'm going to do a new project with my bass player from King Cobra, and this idiot sound guy, his engineer, sends me the stems. All I needed was a guitar, bass, drums, and keyboard. No keyboard, guitar, bass, drum, and a vocal and a click. So he sends me 25 tracks of stems, and on them is some drum parts
that you didn't need.
I said, I don't need those. And I listened to some, they're horrible sound. They're like this. That's what it sounds like, pillows.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I describe those drum sounds. I mean, my drums sound like drums.
Right.
You know, if you're not going to have a drum sound like drums on the recording, let's do these.
Yeah, I've got a 26-inch kick here in the studio.
I saw that kick.
Oh, you did? Yeah, it's shallow shell.
There's a lot of me in that.
Is it?
That's exactly what he said. He's like,
Really?
he's like, that's me.
I didn't know he had seen it. I was like, I'll show it to you afterwards. You'll like it.
You got the Chinese symbol upside down. That's me. I got it from Billy Cobham, but I brought it into the rock thing.
You mean it's upside down the way it's sitting right now?
Yeah.
Because every tech I ever had on their first night sets it up the other way.
Of course. That's, they don't know.
Oh, I know. That's, exactly.
You don't play a Chinese symbol that way.
I know. I've had to tell every single tech I've ever
You know,
had.
it's funny. My first Chinese symbol was a Wuhan.
Yeah, I've used those too. Cheap as hell, but they sound great.
I knew about Wuhan, and then the COVID came in. They said it's from Wuhan. I said, oh, they make disease too? I thought they just made symbols.
Yeah. I didn't even put that together.
They make symbols and pandemics.
Yeah, exactly.
They're cheap and they sound great. And
they're good. As a matter of fact, I went on a clinic tour with Sabian, and he said, why do you keep carrying that symbol around? Don't we make one like that? I said, no, you don't.
Yeah.
So he said, when we're done, come up to Canada, let's make one like that.
Yeah, let's reverse engineer.
So they made one out of nickel. It's made out of nickel. They made one. It's called Carmine Appice China. The signature series, the very first signature series symbol that Sabian ever did.
Really? Was
Really?
it China?
And it sounded good.
Yeah,
It
I know
sounded
they
good.
made out of nickel.
So I stopped using the Wuhans, even though now in my studio I got one little Wuhan that just it smokes.
Did Wuhan change their name after the pandemic? Or are they still
No,
sticking with it?
I guess they're still Wuhans. I've had that.
I passed Isis Brothers furniture the other day. I was like, man, I can't believe they stuck with that name after 9/11. Isn't that
That's
crazy?
funny.
They're going to die on that hill.
Yeah. How many bands did you turn down in your career that you regret doing? And did anybody ever approach you about playing? You're like, doesn't look a good fit for me, and then you regret it.
I can't really think of any.
You said yes to most of
yeah.
them.
Yeah. Daryl Hall & Oates.
Oh, really?
Yeah. because I just come out of BBA, the Beck Bogan Appice, and my manager said, well, these new guys are called Hole and Oates. They want you to play with them. I said, well, maybe call it Hole and Oates and Appice, and I'll do it.
Did you really counter with that?
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then they became big. And
I was about to say.
yeah, now that I think of it, yeah, Rainbow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They called me before they got cozy.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was playing with Mike Bloomfield and Rick Gretsch in a band called KGB that really didn't do anything. But I was signed. In those days, when you signed to a label, right? You signed to a label. So I couldn't do that. I couldn't jump ship. Now I think it was another one, that big Whitesnake album.
Mm-hmm.
They asked me to do that, and I couldn't do it because I was signed to the label King Cobra.
Mm.
So,
And back in the day, it was hard to access somebody. If he's out on tour, you just got to leave a message on your voicemail.
Oh, yeah, when I-
machine when you get back, you
when I
might have
see
missed
you in
it.
3 months.
When I
Yeah.
joined Ozzy, I was out on the roads, Synsonic drums. They were Mattel Synsonic drums, little electronic drums.
Yeah.
You might be too young. But,
I'm 48. I'm not too young.
Like I said, you might be too young. Anyway, this is 1983.
Nobody's ever told him that before, by the
Right.
way.
No, that's the
83?
first time I heard.
When were you born?
76, when you joined Rod.
Well, you were 7 years old, so. Anyway, so I was, and Sharon called my manager, and my manager told me to call Sharon. I said, what did I do?
Yeah, she's in
And then I
trouble.
joined that, and then, the rest is history. She fired me and all that. But, yeah, but that was a good one. The Whitesnake one, man.
Yeah.
I said, I can't do it. And they went out and sold 27 million records.
Yeah.
That was a huge record. I remember when that came
What'd you
out,
say?
man.
Did you say, I'm not doing it unless you call it White Snake
And a piece.
and a piece?
Yeah, unless you change Whitesnake to King Cobra, then I can do it.
Yeah, well, I guess label interference if you're if that band's with
when
another
back
label.
then when you signed to a label, and that was my deal. I was signed to. I couldn't jump ship and say, okay, I'm
competitor.
joining Whitesnake.
They wouldn't let you subcontract
No,
out.
I mean, you didn't even think about that in
Yeah.
those days, So those are a few bands. But talk about the machine. I got a funny one from the Answer Machine. I get home one day and Answer Machine, Bob Ezrin, big producer.
Mhm.
Hey, Carmine, I just got this band that's screaming for Carmine drum fills. I said, okay. So I call him up and go, who's the band? He says, Pink Floyd. That's Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd? Me? And Pink
With your
Floyd?
drumming?
So he said, yeah. I said, where's Nick? He said, we knew those guys. And
Yeah.
he said, well, Nick he's been out racing his Ferraris, and his fingers don't have calluses. So they want some new blood. And it was me and Jim Kellner played on it. So I said, wow. And Nick was there, and I played on Dogs of War on Momentary Lapse of Reason.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I said, wow. And then now they re-released it with him playing drums on the track.
No shit.
How dare them? How dare them?
Sorry, dude.
Let me tell you, that's like that kind of stuff's happened to you a lot in your career. And I don't know at what age you learned to just grin and bear it and not hold grudges. But this guy's like one of the best guys.
I don't
that
hold
just-
grudges.
It's water under the bridge as
Yeah.
soon as it happens.
It's like Vinnie Vincent just put something on Facebook. When he played with me, it was Vinnie Cassano.
Yeah.
And I'm not supposed to talk bad on him, but if somebody asks me about it, I tell them,
Yeah.
Like when he joined KISS, they called me and said, you work with Vinnie? I said, yeah. How'd it go? I said, I can't tell you because I don't want Vinnie to post it again.
Yeah.
But it wasn't very good.
Right.
Okay. And then he joined KISS and they had problems with him,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but he just posted it now. And he's saying that I'm an asshole 'cause I talk about him and that, I want to become a man and come to Nashville and jam with him and he'll show me up. I said, come on, dude, grow up.
Just don't even respond to that kind of shit.
I don't respond. And then last year I had the big thing with Nikki Sixx,
Yeah.
because I said that they were playing with tapes that Mick Mars asked me. They were asking me about, I did an interview with Jeff Beck and they asked me, what do you think about Mick Mars leaving? I said, well, Mick likes to play live and apparently they wanted him to play with tapes and blah, blah, and that blew up to some ridiculous thing. I tell you what, I got a lot of press out of it.
Yeah.
Sure as hell did.
Yeah.
Have something to promote. That's the time to do
So,
it.
it's funny. I think about my life and where I started. My book, Stick It, My Life, Sex, Drums, and Rock and Roll. Anybody read that book?
No, not yet.
I don't
will
read.
get it. Eric,
I'm an audiobook guy.
If you don't
Yeah,
mind.
well, I don't know. I didn't do audiobook, but you could read this.
David can't read.
good.
I can read.
You can. It's a good book. Everyone that wrote it, and there's always 5 stars on Amazon and
That's
stuff.
great.
And it's the guy that wrote Nikki Sixx's book, Heroin Diaries. He wrote it.
Yeah.
And
I've always thought that book was made up 110%.
I've heard so many things like that before.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
he did. There's,
People on heroin don't keep diaries like that.
well, I don't know. They were pretty out there. Those guys.
Yeah,
They were
for
pretty
sure.
out there. I knew them on the first tour when Ozzy. We took him on the first tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was the first guy, Tommy Lee. I was the first guy to write about him. I used to write for Circus Mag. I forget. all
Did you
about this.
really?
I wrote an article for 8 years called Drum Beat, and every time I wrote everybody. I wrote about everybody. Every drummer that was big, I write the drum part and explain what it is and how they did it, and all. And I write it down, and I was on there for 8 years. 8 years and the cover, Carmine's Drum Beat.
When did you first pick up drumsticks, start playing?
Right now.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't pick them up till I was 21, and I've had.
No, that explains it.
Yeah.
I was a kid. Let's put it that way.
Well, I know that I've had carpal tunnel surgery on both of my wrists. Have you had them
not good.
before?
I had major rotator cuffs from them cymbals up there that I started.
Yeah.
You lower them down now? You keep
Yeah,
them up?
now it's down here.
There you go.
Yeah, but I like the way it looked. I brought my cymbals up now because I'm doing all this stuff when I'm playing. You can't see it.
Well, we got a friend that
So
plays
yeah,
in a
up there.
band that puts his cymbals up high like that. And other drummers will ask him, man, why do you put it up? He said he used to do that because he's been playing for years. He put them up that high because he was afraid he was going to miss something out front, like seeing a girl pull her shirt up or a fight going
That's the
on.
example he uses too, actually.
Well, she probably saw my kit. I was the first one rock guys to do that.
Yeah.
Billy Cobham had it over here. But Ludwig, again, with Ludwig, they were pioneering drums and they made the boom stands. So I said, oh, that'd be cool. I could put this Chinas up there,
Yeah.
And Terry Bozzio had something like that
Yeah.
as well, so, but I had him up there, but then he took it to the extreme.
Oh, my
I just
God.
used to ride on it. Then he went like, da, 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 like that. And I said,
He has to be
that's
lowered into his kit. I don't see how he gets in there.
Cool. Yeah, and
It's
that
like-
big kid he had, it was ridiculous. When he played
Ridiculous.
with Missing Persons, he was awesome, I know you might be too young for that too.
No, I definitely do. I have
You're a
Lud-
young guy.
I have a Ludwig kit. I appreciate you calling me young. I don't know how much I owe you at the end of the podcast.
You're young. I used to say to my friends, my brother was 65, I said, the family's getting old when the baby's 65.
He's retirement age. Yeah. I have a Ludwig kit, and it's embarrassing. You probably know more than I do about the kit, but it's beautiful. It's like a pink with silver sparkle in it. And it's first Ludwig kit I've ever owned. But
Ludwig's were great drums, and still great drums.
it's heavy as hell. and
I've been
just-
playing these D drums for years, and what I like about them is that the thin ply, which drums should be thin ply from my experience, and they're blonde, like my first maple kit from that John Bonham wanted, and they sound great. I've been with D drum now since 2007 or 6 or something. And it used to be you go to a drum company, make a deal with guaranteed clinics, and I did that with D drum. And then when all the clinics faded away because you don't hear rock on the radio anymore. All the guitar centers are closing and Sam Ash closed. Why? Because people don't go in there to buy drums anymore, guitars or basses. They want a keyboard.
Yeah.
You buy one keyboard and that's it. You can do everything.
Well, you can buy a lot of stuff online now too, which I think is killing a lot of the
Sweetwater and all
retailers,
that. But I mean, Amazon, changed everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When was the last time you went to a store?
I mean, it's sweet.
I buy something. I go. I buy something like clothes. I don't know what they got there. Oh, I need shampoo. No, I'll get that one. They deliver to your house. My
Yeah.
wife's now doing Walmart delivery.
My
Yeah,
wife
yeah.
does the same thing.
They'll bring it to your house now.
Yeah, they
Walmart.
bring it to
Yeah.
everybody's coming to your house. I mean, everybody's working from home. It's like, why did I come here?
I know. We could have done this long distance, right?
I would never buy a kit.
You know-
You would never buy a guitar unless seeing it in person and playing it. So that-
I've done
I
it.
have.
Yeah.
I have.
You have?
Yeah, but
Sight
I mean, I
unseen?
get it, and then you set it up how you want.
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know?
these kids today, like my neighbor up the street, who want to buy cymbals. I'll buy them online. Like, you don't buy cymbals online. You got to hear them.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, you used to go to a Guitar Center or Sam Match. They got a whole cymbal rack of different cymbals and go ding, 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 ding. You know, but now they just Sweetwater. I want a 21-inch ride, a heavy ride by Sabian. Okay, here's one.
If you don't like it, send it back.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I had
exactly.
stuff sent to me. That, you know, this thing Temu.
Yeah. Temu. Yeah.
Temu. These pants, this shirt, and this jacket I
Yeah.
bought on Temu. These pants I bought, they're cheap. They're like $15.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be tight like they are now, and they weren't. So I took them to get altered.
Probably-
$60 to alter.
Yeah, to alter $15 pay.
Pay more for that.
They
Now
look
when he
good.
gets up, I'm gonna look and see if this
They look
ass
good.
split.
This jacket was a good buy, and I liked it. I said, "Well, that's a cool. It's like a '60s coat, you know." I liked it, and these shirts were rare, but they're Chinese too. So I said, "Oh man, I got to take that app off my phone. They're gonna know everything about me." But
Some of the apps though, man, you got to be careful because when you get the clothes, they don't fit.
Oh hell no! I wouldn't buy
that's
it.
what I was going to say. So I didn't. I get the clothes. It didn't fit. I said, "I want a new one. I want to return it." No, just keep it.
Yeah.
And they send you new ones.
Cost more to mail it back. Just
Yeah,
keep
so
it.
I just take it to Goodwill.
Oh, I've got 3 jackets off a site like that, the Chinese site I ordered, and all 3 of them. The last one finally did, but I kept the other 2, so I've got 3 of the same jacket.
Yeah, I got one. I bought a sport jacket.
Yeah.
And I said, I need it doesn't fit. So I'll keep it. And they sent me another one. It wasn't a sport jacket. It was a raincoat. An old raincoat with the tie. And you know, so I kept it. I said, oh, you never know. It rains a lot in Florida. But when it rains, it's usually warm.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's interesting what's going on. Yeah.
So Carmine, let's talk about your latest thing with Cactus. With you know, Doug Pennick.
Well, that was interesting. The label I work with a lot of called Cleopatra Records, and we have some Cactus records out with them. And the owner called me, who were good friends. He goes, "Man, wouldn't it be cool to do a Cactus record and do some of the old songs and bring in new people to interpret them?" I said, "Yeah, that would be really cool." So, you think you can do that? I said, "Dude, I did Guitar Zeus. You know, I got every major guitar player from the '80s playing on this record." And I said, "Yeah, I could do this." So, and funny thing is, you being a drummer, I started each track with the drums. I didn't play to anything else. So the first 2 songs I did was Parchment Farm, which is a very fast boogie, which was a template for Hot for Teacher, because they were big Cactus fans. And I sound like I'm egoing out telling it. Saying this, you know? I mean, I'm just telling the truth.
That's
here,
what a
you know?
podcast is. That's what we do.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, so I did Parchment Farm, and I just sang it to myself and played with a click. I said, and I did the click the same tempo as 247 beats per minute.
Wow.
You know, and I went dot break. See on there in the Parchment. I'm singing to myself, and then I said, "Man, there's got to be an easier way." Then I did, and Joe Bonamassa played on that song. You know, I did his podcast. I said, "That song blew my brains out. So you want to play on it?" Sure. So I got him on it. I got Billy Sheehan on bass, you know, and the original guitar player, me, and the singer. The singer of Cactus at the time was great. So then I said, all right, the next song is, I'll do One Way or Another. Ted Nugent wanted to play on that, and Doug Pinnick playing bass, and Doug singing it. So I said, okay. So I did that the same way. I said, man, I can't do 12 more songs like this. This is crazy. So I came up with the idea. I put the click down, and then I actually sang the parts. Like I do Evil. I go bum bum, drum fill, down the down, down the down, down down bum bum, drum fill, down the down.
Yeah.
The vocal down down bum bum, long way from home. So I did the whole song like that,
Like vocally as a ghost track for them to work off.
and
of?
then I can play to that. And that's what I have. Some of my friends say you should release that just with your drums and your vocal.
on a deluxe package.
I said, that would be funny as hell. Actually, that's a good idea. I like the deluxe package. I'm going to talk to the
Yeah, it's
label
kind of
about
like
that.
a voiceover
Yeah, so-
commentary.
So I did every track like that, and it was a lot easier. And then I'd send the track to my singer who played guitar and bass, and he put a guitar and bass and harmonica on it. And now I had a demo. Then I would say, Ted, here's the song. What do you want to play? He said, one way or another. Here's the demo, and then he would say, okay, I want to do it. And then we send him the stems. And not one person on that record was in the same room with anybody else.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You'd never know it.
Dude, that happens
like
all the time.
You heard, who heard Evil today?
I did.
You heard it. He was a big Cactus fan, Long Island, and he did Evil on a record called, he had Widowmaker, which had one of my students, Joe Franco, play on it. And Joe said, you should call D to sing on it. So I got D, and he said, definitely. So he sang on it, and all these different people. Warren Haynes, fantastic job.
Oh, yeah.
Warren did the blues. We did the blues, and I did the drums first. Yeah. And then his bass player from Government Mule put the bass on. He knew how Warren played, so he would play with me and thinking about what Warren would play. And then Warren did the vocal and the guitar at the same time, which was really, really great.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. And then, like Ty Tabor played with Phil Susan, and me, and I got Bumblefoot on a track. I got my singer to sing this track called Guiltless Glider. They had Phil Susan, Bumblefoot on it, and my singer singing it. Then I got Ripper Owens to sing it, and he did a whole different vocal on it. So I put both of them on there,
That's great.
And it was just a lot of crazy things, mix-ups. And this guy named Johnny A. is a blues guy. He did this song called Alaska. Funny enough.
Yeah.
And it's a blues. It's a blues. And Tony Franklin played bass. I played that with brushes. You probably never played with brushes.
I have.
Oh, good for you. Come on. Hey, come on, don't leave me hanging. but I played with brushes on. Then Johnny A did it, and who sang that one? Oh, my singer sang that one. Then I got Randy Johnson from Zebra played on a track called Brother Bill. I got Bob Daisley on bass. It's just all these different
That's
things.
what's great about doing this for so long. Everybody's one phone call away, and it's not like you got to twist the knife and try and get them to come. They're like, I'm coming right now.
Yeah, because here's a funny thing. Steve Stevens played the song called Oleo,
Oh, wow.
which had Billy Sheehan on bass, and Tim Boga did his bass solo in that. And Tim was Billy Sheehan's total idol. So I said, Billy, would you do a solo? He goes, definitely. So he did a solo like Tim. So I called Steve Stevens. I said, dude, would you like to play on this Cactus song? He said, I would love to, man. I love Cactus. I said, where are you from? He goes, I'm from Brooklyn. I said, oh, man. So I didn't know that he was a fan.
Yeah.
I just called him. There's some people that I didn't know were fans, like Malcolm Mendoza, the bass player from Whitesnake.
Yep.
He was a fan too. He even did the stupid thing that Tim did at the beginning of Let Me Swim. And Let Me Swim, I was telling Terry about, Let Me Swim has an intro that Van Halen took and made Eruption out of it, right?
Yeah.
It was guys like, guitar, bram, bram, brown, guitar, and then it went into the song. So on this album, I extended that to show the familiar part, and from this one to that one, And I said, who could I get to play this? Doug Aldrich. Yeah. He could play the shit out of this. So I got him to do it. Yeah. And I said, at the beginning, Doug, just play your ass off. Do you want whatever, but just catch the dun, dun, and play again. And then we'll go into the song. So I extended it. So you can see the similarities,
Yeah.
And he did a great job. So it was really great. So and then I got my mixer to mix it, and it sounds fantastic. And everywhere I did it, I was doing interviews like 5. I'm surprised I didn't do you guys. I was doing 5, 6 interviews a day for a long time. And it broke in the blues charts of Billboard at number 3.
Wow.
Right? And it was all over the Amazon blues charts for a long time at number 3, 4, 5, went down to 8 and back and forth. And I was trying to get a nomination for the Grammys, at least put me in the blues charts, the blues part. And they put me in the rock. I said, it's a blues album. It's called Temple of Blues. It's not called Temple of Rock. But anyway,
they don't always get it right.
Foghat was doing blues, and Robin Trower, and Slash was number 1 in the blues charts. I couldn't knock him out. Yeah. And he did the same thing as me. He had Billy Gibbons, had all these different guys on it, And nobody got a nomination. They had Bonamassa, of course, and they had Steve Cropper, you know who he is? Booker T and the MGs, Green Onion. He was the Stax
Yeah, Stacks. Okay.
guy. You know, he played on Aretha Franklin. He was a side guy.
Oh, Stax Records.
Yeah, Jeff Beck loved him, you know. And I think he did something with Jeff Beck. I think he produced a Jeff Beck couple of albums back in, I don't know, 70s. Anyway, he had a band called Steve Cropper and so-and-so. So they were nominated. And then 3 or 4 other people I never heard of. You know, so I said, okay, I feel better because none of the other guys got nominated either.
We're all left
I would have
out.
been pissed off if Foghat got nominated and they didn't put us in there, you know. But now I feel better about doing another one.
You said this label that you work with. What? Because I've been out of the game for a few years, and God knows it changes every day you wake up. What does the label offer you these days? I mean, you don't have to get too
Money?
inside baseball.
Money? You talking about money?
Well, I mean, I guess just what do they offer you as a deal? Like, what's the benefit to go with them?
Well, you got to record an album and you make a little money, and you know, whoever it sells to, it sells to. You know, with Cactus, it keeps the Cactus legend going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, I record to keep, like King Cobra. I did a record for King Cobra. 2 guitar players didn't want to do it, the same label. I said, why didn't you want to do it? I said, nobody buys it, nobody hears it, and you don't make any money on it. I said, yeah, but we keep the legend going.
Yeah. And they put it on playlists.
And they didn't want to do it.
Well,
So I got Carlos Cavazzo from Quiet Riot and this guy, Roland Robinson, to play with Dio, and they did it.
Yeah.
But they were right. It came out. We did this. Look, since you guys like video, look at this one. It's called, we did it with TGI, you know. It starts off, I'm on the roof of a building in New York. You know, we're in a subway car. We're underneath the L. There's fires burning. It's 3D. It's amazing, you know.
Yeah.
And that one cost $3,000.
That's
expensive.
That is
You know?
crazy.
But it was good, you know, like, but that's what happens today. So, I mean, this Cactus record, consider it was his idea. I figured if I do it, he's going to push it.
yeah.
You know, and they did push it. I went to number 3 in Billboard.
I think
You
they
know?
put it on playlists and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so it does get
I was
heard.
on blues stations. I was on blues charts. You
Yeah.
know, I said, wow, this is unbelievable. I'm playing. But Cactus was always a blues rock band. You know, it was always blues based, you know. So they picked the most bluesy songs and put them on the blues radio and stuff. Regular radio that played blues. I said, wow, that's different.
You're doing blues on Cleopatra.
Yeah, Cleopatra does everything.
I'm more familiar with Cleopatra doing like industrial and
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
I was
how
just
I
gonna say,
originally.
they do rap.
Yeah.
They do all that stuff. They do
Okay.
everything.
Wow.
I mean, they have a Vanilla Fudge record we did for them.
Yeah.
I know the owner since he started that label. He used to sell CDs, Motorhead CDs out of his garage. And Motorhead wasn't really happening at that time.
Right.
And they made some CDs, and he said, I can sell these, you know, I can sell these. He'd go around and sell them. Now he's a multimillionaire, and he's a good guy, you know. I had my 75th birthday party, and we invited him. He came with his wife. You know.
Nice.
He has a cool image too. He's on the album cover. You know,
Nice.
I put everyone that had to do with the album on the cover.
Yeah.
You know, from the PR guy to my manager to this guy Tim Yasui. He was like the second man in Cleopatra. I gave him drum lessons. You know, and put him on. I put this one on, that one on. My engineer's on there. My mix guy. You know, the guys in the band, everyone that played on the record's on there. And I wanted it like it's funny, but they did the art, and I said, I want it like a Sgt. Pepper vibe, you know?
You have to with that many
Right,
people.
Yeah, so what they did was they put the people on, and they put the outfits like Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah.
I said, no, not like that.
That's a bit on the
wearing
nose.
Regular outfits, not Sgt. Pepper outfits, just the concept of all the people,
Right.
you know? And it was just a concept. And then when I told the owner, I said, look, you know, Foghat's on the blues charts, and Robin Trower's on the blues charts, and Slash is on the blues charts. This is the same kind of stuff. So he said, let's call it Temple of Blues. So
It's a good name.
I said, good idea. So then we changed the artwork to behind us was a temple,
Ah.
and all the artwork inside. We had double albums with all the artwork was all temple stuff. You know? It was going to be called Influences and Friends. You know, which is a coolness. So now it's Temple of Blues, Influences and Friends, in little letters.
Yep. So Carmine, where can everybody find you at online?
CarmineAppice.net, CarmineAppice.com,
Yeah.
Carmine Appice merch.com.
Sex Police shirts, dude.
Yeah,
Go
Sex
out and
Police.
get 'em, dude.
Well, actually, they're not up there yet. You can get the Guitar Zoos project there.
Yeah.
You can get 25th anniversary guitar that has Guitar Zoos. You got some of the artwork. You got I got these drum heads that have. You got Fire and Fury drum heads back there. They're picturing me killing the drums, and it says Fire and Fury, Carmine Appice, and I got them on drum heads, and that's pretty much it. Facebook, Carmine Appice. What is it? Original, I think. That's, I have the. Well, when I joined Facebook, I didn't know anything about Facebook years ago,
Right.
and I didn't know that when you joined, 5,000 was the limit. So I hit the 5,000. And then somebody said, "Oh no, you got to do the fan page, where they're not really, on you, but they could answer you in comments and stuff." I go, "Oh," so I joined that. Now that has 70 or 80,000. And people go, "I messaged you on Facebook." I said, "Forget about it. I'm not going to message everybody that messages me on Facebook."
Right.
Enjoy the weather.
I said, "Forget it. I don't do that stuff."
Right.
Like people go, "Didn't you see me on Facebook? I'm your friend." I go,
Yeah. Right.
between Facebook, Instagram, and X,
Yeah.
I got over 100,000 people. I said,
It's hard to find.
I'm not going to know anybody. And I don't really do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably could do more if I did it all day long.
Right.
Like I have a friend of mine who used to be in the Vagrants that Leslie West was in back in the day, Vanilla Fudge and the Vagrants and the Hassles. Billy Joel was in the Hassles. We were the old Long Island bands doing the same kind of production numbers, we called it.
Yeah.
And he now is a pastor in Haiti, but he moved back to the States, and all day long he's sending me videos and YouTubes. I said, "Dude, I don't have time to look at all this stuff. I'm busy."
You and everybody else is sending me this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm busy. I don't have time to do
Unsubscribe.
this.
Unsubscribe.
Yeah, so
Well, Carmine, we appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us today, man.
that's good. That's it.
That's
Yeah,
it.
man,
It goes by quick, doesn't it?
We didn't cover anything.
Goes by quick. We'll have to do it again.
Next time I'll bring my brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
I didn't even know about this podcast.
We'll make
I mean,
a
it's
party.
the same thing as, it's the internet.
Yeah.
It's big and
I
vast.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an abyss.
When people
Right.
used to say, "How do you find new bands?" I said, "I used to turn the radio on."
Yeah.
He said, "Well, now how do you find?" I said, "You think I have time? I guess I have time to sit at YouTube and go play me new bands?
Right.
I mean, come on."
So, David, you want to tell everybody how they can call into the show?
Oh, yeah. We didn't get any calls today because I just posted something about it this morning. But yeah, 412-4-ADVICE. Call. If you have any advice questions you want to ask, we'll check them out on the next episode. Call right now. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, and we know most of you are, make sure you leave a comment below to help our algorithm out. And what else? What other housework do I need? Like, subscribe,
Comment.
enable the notifications. Oh, yeah, I just said comment.
I'm going to say it again.
Yeah. We want to thank Carmine for coming in today. And
Right. Good time.
Make sure you come back and see us next week. All right. You hear?